Hey folks, this is Tully and welcome to some more game dev. Coming back with some more enemy behaviors, part 4. Second stream of the day. The first stream, we were setting up the enemies to have more complex movement, or more accurately, movement that we can control and make more predictable. We also did a little bit of work making it so that when we perform actions or attacks, we can now have to push A to confirm it. And if we are going to try and perform an action in a direction in which there is no targets, we can push X in order to override that, allowing us to still attack and potentially predict where the enemy is going to be, even if they're not there yet. So that's coming along quite nicely, but there's a couple of things. Number one, I'd like to fix this bug where the enemy moves and dies at the same time. I've noticed for a couple of streams now, and I think we might be able to get to it, but I want to continue on the path we were on. We were looking at the AI's behaviors, and we were creating a new way to get the AI information about where it should move to. So we've created a new ability called AI Move Around Target, which is a bit wordy, but somewhat descriptive. And essentially, we created a new ability effect earlier today where this one will try and find the nearest unit and set the current target tile, which you can kind of think about as almost like a cursor, to the tile that the nearest unit is on. So nearest enemy unit in this case. And then find tile will try and find a tile by offset. So this is going to find a tile to the left of the characters facing, and then this one will try and find a tile to the right of the players facing. And if those tiles are valid for movement, then it will set that AI tile inside of a list that we're going to try and feed that list back to the AI's logic section where it decides what tile to move to. So we have this ability. I think it should work. Now we need to actually get it functional and being used, essentially. So if we go look at the AI, let's look at IT Slime, and then look at its AI run behavior. I think we can set up this new AI Move Around Target as a new ability here. And we can make it so instead of trying to do this run, it should be able to instead try and execute this ability instead. Instead? How many times did I say instead? Too many times. All right, so with this being its chosen ability, we now need to find a way to get it to try to predict that ability in a slightly different way. Right now we're using a distance ability checker. I think we need a new one, so we're going to copy this. We're going to let Visual Studio do a little bit of a think, then Unity is going to do a little bit of a think, and then we can do predict based ability picker, and this is going to try and basically run the ability to determine whether or not it can be picked. So inside of here, need to rename it. So we'll copy the name. Instead of checking the distance, I think we want to do, the same thing that the targeting system is using for the player. So when the player tries to make a selection, we do the target select screen. And the target select screen, yeah, this is the right one. In here, is checking with the ability area. And if we go into the ability area and look at the effect driven one, this is doing ability.predict and passing in a list of ability targets, specifically one with direction. And the second parameter is the origin tile. Okay. And then out of that, we get whether or not it's valid. Then we clear the list and add a fresh one and then set valid. Okay. So for our purposes, I think we only need this part. We'll grab the board clear just to be safe as well. Actually, we shouldn't even need the board clear. I'm going to hold it here just in case, but now this is going to complain because we're missing some stuff. We're going to need the ability targets, which is going to be here. So a list of ability targets. We're going to make it a local variable. For our purposes, that should be better. And then pass that information into here. This needs to be a new list. This will be the plans ability. Okay, so this converts everything to be basically local. The only thing we're missing is really information about the current unit. Do we have that information? I don't think the plan of attack knows. Oh, it does. It has a self concept. Is it going to be set by this point, though? No, it's set later when we actually go to perform it. So that variable isn't going to be valid at this point. So instead, we should be able to just do a get component to find the unit up above. Trying to see if any of these other ones... Oh, it has a unit built into itself. Perfect. That's what we're looking for. I figured it had to exist somewhere. So we can do unit.direction, unit.current tile. So this will be the current unit, the one that's trying to decide whether it's going to move, but we actually don't care about this direction or the current tile because we're right away going to basically find the nearest foe and replace this information internally with that. I think that's okay. So we're essentially just sending in an ability target information, mostly to just set the movement information to get that back out. And then when we're done, we probably want to save this in the plan. And we can do that not by saving the whole thing, but we really only care about the list of tiles that were found. Movement. You don't like this because you don't have a concept of which one we're using. Okay, we're going to just make it explicit to remove any potential confusion, and we will use core.tile. I don't know if I love that, but we will leave it for the time being. So then in here, we just need to, after we've populated it with the base information, do plan dot priority move tiles is equal to the ability targets 0 dot get move tiles. Okay. And now the plan should have a list of priority movement tiles that it would like to choose above others. So inside of AI run, instead of this being a distance ability picker, it can be a predict based off of ability picker. It can still be foe based, and it now points to this. It can be the brown telegraphing crystal with a preferred distance of 2, and a override range of -1, and a CT of 2. And then it doesn't have a min and max distance anymore because it's not using that for movement. It's going to use whatever the ability has for its priority movement, essentially. Okay. So now we should get out a list of movement tiles here based off of the player's tiles around it. We do need to come into this one, and we're going to need to do another effect here. Is valid is the wrong naming on this. This should actually be valid ability effect. I'm going to try renaming that and see if that breaks everything. Did it figure it out? Yeah, it does seem to. Okay, cool. So if we get into this section, we're going to both set the AI movement tile, but we're also going to say that this is a valid ability effect. And we need to do that for both of these setups. And that way, this will get flagged as good to go. And that's important because the new predict base is going to see whether or not it was valid and determine whether or not to use this plan. Okay. So if we go back to the foe attack state and we look inside of plan direction dependent, here is where we want to add our priority move tiles into the AI's like thinking to say these are the tiles you should try and move to. And I think we want to somehow prioritize these over normal move options. Move options are a list of tiles, correct? Yes. So we want to do the same thing. Yeah, we want to do the same setup, but somehow we need to say to the system, this plan of attack, or more accurately, this attack option is a higher priority than the other ones by some margin. Yeah, this is all of the options that we have. So we need some way of saying that certain ones are higher priority. Each option has a base score. Yeah, this part gets a little complicated to process because essentially we're going to score this based off a number of factors. So if the mark is a match, so saying that this is the type of enemy we want to attack, then that gets a greater score. If it's a priority, if the mark is a priority target, then it gets an even better score. So we need some way in here to say that this attack option is for one of our priority movement locations, and it needs to have an even better score. Okay, this is going to be taking me a second. Sorry, chat, but I am trying to process. So this move target is the list of move targets within this attack option. So for this attack option, these are all the things we could... So, okay, if we come all the way back up here, an attack option is created and added to this list. And we add this move tile to that attack option. But it's always a new one. Yeah, it's a new attack option every single time. So is there ever more than one tile? Here is how that gets set up. If the plan is direction independent, then we can have multiple attack options all on the same tile. That's what this map is. This map is, yeah, this tile with attack options on that tile. Okay. Interesting. But if it's directional based, which is most of our abilities at this stage, there's only ever one attack option. Each attack option only really gets one movement tile. Okay, sure. Okay, I think I'm starting to put it together. The question is just how do we add these to this flow? Because we want them to be the primaries. You know, I guess the simplest approach would be if we have any priority move targets, at least for now, we could say if the plan of attacks priority move targets does not equal null and its count is greater than 0, then move options can equal the plan of attack's priority move tiles, and we can ignore all other movement options because these are the ones we want to do. This again only works for planning on directional dependent attacks right now. I think that's okay. We can figure out other options later. But I think this should work. So when it chooses AI run, it should now, instead of choosing a tile based off of preferred distance, it should instead pick a tile that fits the pattern that we've created. That's set. This got lost. Oh, because we replaced the component. Okay. So one missing reference. Let's see how many more we can find. Or how many more we missed. All right, move up, hit. Okay, broke again. This time it broke because the ability is null or the plan is null. I see. We're using the plan's ability. We want to get our ability, which is going to be chosen ability in this context. That's what we should be predicting against. Okay. Give that another try. I could like go debug it and like, you know, step by step see what's going on, but I feel like we're pretty close. I think it might just work. Okay, it's picked a plan. That was not one of the locations it was supposed to go to. Okay, so that didn't just work. IT slime. It chose the bow attack, so it should have chosen AI run. And it looks like it's chosen this preferred distance instead of whatever the chosen ability was. Okay. I was wrong. It didn't just work. We'll need to come in here and see what happens after the predict. All right, we should be able to just attack. It's predicting. It has a pretty straightforward setup. We can come into here. It's going to do a predict on target 0, which should be the only one that matters. It's going to go through all of the ability effects and have them do their predicts. So this is the cost effect. We don't care about that. This is find nearest unit. So if we come into here, find nearest unit, predict internal is going to find the nearest foe. It found the player. It's going to say that it found the player. It's going to set the target unit. It's going to set the target unit's tile as the target tile. Okay, this is all fine. We're going to come out of here. We're going to hit the next effect, which should be outro. What? Okay, well at least that narrows it down. It is a problem with the AI move. So after find nearest unit, it should have hit this effect, find tile. So we're going to let it hit us. We're going to let it hit us again. Now it's going to predict. This part's working. But the problem is somewhere here. So it's getting the child object, which is cost. That's fine. Where you should be able to just hit forward, found tile, valid tile, find nearest unit. Okay, and we saw that this was correct. It should be going in a level. Oh, I think I hit F10 instead of F11 at that specific point. Okay, yeah, now we're seeing find tile 1. It's active. We find that effect. We go into the predict function for it, predict internal. It's going to try and find using the target tile. So it's going to get an align offset based off of the direction facing of the target, which apparently is north currently. Yes, that's correct. This is north, this is south, west, and east, based off of our coordinate and isometric space. So that is the correct direction, which should get the correct align offset, which is 1, 0, sure. And then we're going to find a target point, which is going to be based off of the yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah, they end up coming out the same because north, I think, is our default for get alignment. I don't want to dig into all this stuff. Yeah, but it's not doing anything to it. So that's should be fine. And then it's finding from position 4, 8. With this offset, it's finding the target point to be 5, 8. Okay. So then it's going to get that tile at 5, 8, which has no content and is walkable. That should be, I believe, this tile here next to the tree stump. Okay. That tile is not null and is walkable, so it says it's found, and it sets this to be a target tile. Okay, this all seems fine. Then it's going to do another internal. It's going to check if it's a valid destination. So it's going to get the is valid tile effect destination. We will then do predict internal. It will find that that tile is not occupied, so it says that this is valid. And then it should come down to here. We should be looking at the conditional check. This does nothing, it's basically empty, but it's making sure that it is valid. We can go down another level. This is the set AI. This is fine, and it should be adding the target tile to the list of movement tiles. That's correct. Okay, so that's good and is working correctly. So we've basically validated that the tile is good. We're gonna go here and see, yeah, we do get this hit again. And now we're checking tile 3-8, which is on the opposite side. And we're saying that's also a valid tile to move to. So this is all good. So we did, okay, so the ability is performing correctly. We have worked through all of the effects and we have validated that it is doing what we expect. So then the question becomes, after that, is it valid? It is valid. Okay, it did hit those effects as well. Probably should have checked those, but that's fine. It's going to pick this plan, and then it's going to say the priority moves are going to be equal to these two move tiles. And those are set as well. Okay, so then when we actually come to the moment when we want to move here, we want to make sure after CT hits 0, it should end up using those movement tiles. So if we go forward 1, 2, it has an ability, which is AI move. It goes into plan direction dependent, which is what we expect. It comes up with a list of movement options, which is these tiles, which is fair. And then it says, hey, these are the tiles I would like to go to instead. Okay, it overrides those. That makes sense. It looks at each of these tiles and tries to see from this tile if it can do an attack. It should end up with only 2 attack options. Oh, actually no, it'll end up with 4 per move tile because it's checking in all 4 directions for each tile. So it comes up with 8 different possible attack options, each one using our move target 5/8, and then once we come down to here, this grouping should be using 3/8. Okay, so it is only choosing from the ones that I have given it. It's going to do a bit of calculations to try and figure out what the best option is. Let's go up a level. Actually, where is it actually choosing? Interesting. It found none of these tiles to be valid. Interesting, interesting. Okay. Okay, at least we've narrowed down where the problem is. So when it's trying to choose which attack option to do, it is failing to score any of the attack options as valid, essentially, because the best score is still 99, which is basically base level, and it didn't find anything better than that, which means there were no good options, and it's setting the ability to null, clearing it, and then telling the AI to do nothing. Oh, what's interesting... No, okay, slightly different. So because it didn't find an ability, it would actually get back out of this call and work its way back up to the point where it would instead... Oh, where is it? Here. Because it ends up finding after doing all this work that the ability has been set to null, which means we didn't think there was anything valid, it's going to instead just move towards the nearest foe, but it's going to use the plan of attacks preferred distance, and so it moves away. Okay. Hello, first time chatter, Dave H. What you making? We are working on a tactical adventure game. I don't know what to call it, but basically we're building a single player game where you are controlling a character on a grid and exploring the world and going on an adventure. I wish I had a better elevator pitch. The like narratively it's a better elevator pitch. It's like an isekai genre story in which you are summoned to another world and the goddess sends you out into the world to defeat the demon lord. Essentially, we can do a quick look at like a little bit of like the normal gameplay. We're kind of in a test arena right now, but essentially you get sent down to the main world by the goddess, and you're able to explore the world, and there is a set amount of time before the demon lord resurrects. And when the demon lord resurrects, you will die, which I can demonstrate here by hitting a debug key. Once you die, you go back to the goddess realm. The goddess will give you some tips, some information, some abilities to improve your skills. And then from there, you can talk to her and she'll send you back down again. So there's like a Hades kind of influence. It was funny, I was building most of this and I was talking to some folks about it and they were just like, it sounds like you're making Hades. And I was just like, I've not played that game. And then I went and played Hades and went, oh yeah, no, this is totally the loop that I'm looking for. But essentially, once you finish a run, you come back in, the world is fixed, there is no randomization, but each time you explore through the world, the environment remains revealed. And there's a like skill grid system in which you level up and get stronger through your stats and improving your HP, your damage, and such. We hit a breakpoint. That I was like, did we crash? No. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of got a bit of everything. That's the thing, is makes it kind of hard to describe because it started very much based off of like Final Fantasy Tactics inspiration many years ago. Honestly, it's funny. Bastion, if you kind of go back and look at it, doesn't actually function the same way as this. Bastion has like a lot of like pieces, like a room floats up and then elements of it move around. But I do agree that Bastion is a similar reference, but it's actually quite different. Honestly, the reference that I actually was drawn to that inspired this was actually Etrian Odyssey. I was playing like an old school dungeon crawl and I had built up this whole thing with tiles already before anything else. And then I was like, what if I just made it so all these tiles I already had essentially just slide into place, similar to like revealing a map in like an old school dungeon crawler? And that was kind of how it got there. Yeah. So it was really building something that was tile-based tactical, with the inspiration of like an old school dungeon crawl. But I think the trickiest thing, and the thing we've been working on for a long time now, the last few weekends, because we do dev streams every Sunday, basically, it's like I work on this only as a hobby. But so the last few weekend streams have mostly been focused on enemy behavior stuff, because I'm trying to figure out a way to make it feel more like Elden Ring while being turn-based, like finding ways of having like punish windows, and like each enemy's action takes like a set amount of time and your actions take a set amount of time. So like trying to figure out like how to time your attacks to like, you know, fit in and hit the enemy before they move or dodge away. How hard is the level design with that? Not hard at all. So essentially I built a system in which this is all basically 3D. We can take a look at something like this map, which is a little more complicated. But essentially I just wrote okay, so the important thing to note here is that we've been working on this Unity project for like about 5-ish years. We started building something else and we worked on that for 2 or 3 years, and then we felt like that project was going to take too long, and so we started working on this as like a smaller project, but I keep scope creeping it so it's still rather large. But there's a lot of pieces that have been like tools that I've been building over and over and over again. And so the way that I build these maps is actually in like a TSV. So if we take a look at this one in Visual Studio, this is what it actually looks like at the base level when we first start, and we put in like floors, back tree, center tree, stones, bushes, and these get used to generate some kind of somewhat randomization to all of these placements. And then once those are in place, we can come in here and we can use this kind of custom GUI editor I made in order to add anything else we want. And those just start appearing. And then if we want, we can add custom style props, which allow us to do more complex things in which I'm able to like shift it a little bit on the pixel grid. So we can do far more detailed placements. But right now, a lot of the maps are built with just this TSV editor. So if I come into here and I clear all these props and then do a new map generation, and then we just run generate from TSV, you can see that's like the base level that like it just created some randomization for it. Yeah, I like building tools almost more than I like building games, it feels like sometimes. And so there's been a lot of tool creation over the years. I'm gonna make sure not to save that because I want to keep all the ruin stuff. But yeah, this is kind of a rough layout of the grid. There's kind of some aspect of like time and shortcuts too. Like part of the experience is that like when you first start, you'll have to pass by this adventurer in danger as you move up through these maps essentially, and you'll eventually loop back, but by the time you get here, this adventurer will have died to the boar essentially. But because it's got like a groundhog thing going on, you can come back here and start a new run. And once you unlock the bash ability that you'll find from the dead adventurer's mace essentially, then you'll be able to knock over this bridge and be able to get over and potentially help save that adventurer on future runs. And so each chapter of the game will basically be essentially stuck in a section of the world in which you have to figure out how to level up, become strong enough to defeat the monsters, and figure out how to complete that section within the kind of short period of time before the Demon Lord resurrects. Again, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So you can say like, oh, it's got like Bastion influences, it's got Hades influences, it's got 30-second hero influences, it's got like timing based RPG mechanics, it's got Final Fantasy X sphere grid stuff going on, which I haven't really talked too much about, but like that there's a fair amount going on. It might be too much and it might not work. But I'm continuing to build it. I don't know. It's slow and steady. Again, lots of tools. It feels like it's, how do I say it? There's so many like core pieces being built here that are like just RPG mechanics or like dungeon creation mechanics that like, even if this project ends up never working, there's so many tools that are built to be repurposable and reusable so that we can like essentially build a different game, hopefully relatively quickly. But yeah, essentially when we come into here, we can get some strength crystals, we can attack this slime. As we hit it, we level up our weapon skill and they drop different crystals when you kill them. And then if we come in and look at Slash, we can spend some of the strength crystals we got plus some of our skill points to unlock some of these nodes. Again, this space here is very much a testing, like almost firing engine, like, or firing range, but I needed to, do I have a HP crystal? I do, so I can buy that now. So yeah, there's a lot between the stats, the cutscene system, but yeah. Because we can go to boot screen. The most complex I use is rule tiles. You could also make an editor for the player to make maps. You could also probably sell the tile engine. Maybe, I guess the thing for a lot of that is that I feel like it's too, I don't know. It's not perfect, and I'm a perfectionist in a lot of ways. But if I was to mute the background audio and just play the game audio, oh, we have debug tools turned on, so we can't even see the boot screen. 1 second. Debug. I just feel like it's not good enough. It would be like such a headache to be dealing with potentially all of the mistakes that I've made, if that makes sense. Where is my debug tool for this? I can't remember what I called it. This is the problem with only working on it like once a week, is it's very easy to forget all of the setup here. If we go main flag override, we're currently on combat test mode. If we turn this off, we can see a real start. Oh, thank you for the follow, by the way. Appreciate that. I just saw the comment about Mario RPG and Expedition 33. I've not played Expedition 33. It's definitely something I want to get to as a person who enjoys a good RPG. It's definitely got enough hype that I need to get to it, but it just feels like between working on this and real work and stuff, it just ends up not having a ton of time for it. New game, that's what I was doing. Oh, weird. All of the voice lines didn't work for a little bit there. We have some Japanese audio packs that I'm using. It looks like it failed on some of those. Oh, the Demon Lord's castle props are broken. Oh, that's fun. We're going to need to regenerate the props for those. Oh, you also asked, did I do all the art? My wife did all the art. Sorry, I should have called that out sooner. I got lost in my ramblings. But yeah, so my wife Trixie did all the art stuff. She did the goddess. That's all her kind of design work. We're doing a lot of like 2D to 3D stuff too. So she modeled it in 3D, and then like all of the art for Hero, who's our main character, and the goddess is all 3D models that are rendering animations, and then we're compositing them down to pixel form. Trixie wants to do a cleanup pass at some point on all of this, because if you look really close, there is some like weirdness, like Hero's eyes are disappearing and stuff. So she does want to do like a pass where like she cleans every frame up, but because of the way that we're doing it, it just ends up being that like there's a lot of animations, like just an absolute insane amount of stuff, most of which we're not using right now, but we have a lot of different attacks for like the different animations for attacks and stuff. But all of this needs like cleanup pass to just kind of reduce some of the muddiness from converting 3D to 2D. So we're kind of using cheat codes a little bit on that. The actual like trees and stuff are all like hand drawn though. It's just the 3D models with the animations, because like getting the silhouettes right is kind of the hardest part. But once you have like that basic silhouette, it's easier to kind of like, you know, clean up that pixel work. Anyways, that's my tour. It's been a number of years. It'll probably be a number more years before it actually comes out. But we are working on trying to get a Steam page together, hopefully to be able to start doing like some demos of like chapter 1, because like I've got the whole like map set up. Like we've got most of these maps built at this point for all the different locations. It's just a matter of adding a lot of like the actual like cutscenes and filling it in with items and balancing some of the progression stuff. But hopefully once I figure out some of the like combat turn-based stuff and making that really fun and interesting, we can get like a demo of chapter 1 at least early. Might be like a, you know, send out keys through the Discord type thing eventually is what I'm thinking, rather than just make it public on Steam right away, because again, I don't have a clear timetable on how long we will be. We were in the weeds before I went on the ramble. We were... So, okay, so what we're trying to do today is we're trying to make it so that when the enemy is picking their actions, we can make their actions more predictable. Currently, when they try and choose a move, they just try and choose any square within distance that they can move, and they do have preferences. So right now he's going to prefer to move at least 2 away. And so he goes diagonally, which is 1, 2 away, and then he's going to try and do a ranged attack. And then we want to try and do our attacks to kind of predict where the enemy's going is the thing we're playing with right now. Again, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're kind of exploring this idea of like, what if you know the enemy's coming towards you and you can like attack even though there's nothing there yet? And then if I move this off screen for a second, the AI is like thinking all the way along. We can still miss if the AI doesn't get close. But again, this idea of like, what if we attack where the enemy is going to be, not where they are? And I think there's something interesting to that in a turn-based game. But yeah, every ability has like a certain amount of time associated with it. So we're also kind of playing with this idea of like, how much time do you want to spend fighting this enemy? And again, weird. It's like trying to mix, like, again, inspiration is like that kind of Elden Ring damage window, punish window type experiences, but can you do that with a single character turn-based tactical experience? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. So when it's trying to predict, the problem we're running into right now is it's not doing what I want. I have set up an ability where it should try and prioritize moving to the left or right of the character very predictably when it chooses to right now it's going to choose to move towards the character, I think. No, that was wrong. Now it's going to choose to move towards the character. Yeah, okay, then it's going to do the melee attack. Now it's going to try and move away from us, because it's kind of going between melee ranged. And when it's trying to move away, the priority targets I've given it, it's saying are not valid. So let's double check to make sure that we are picking the correct priority targets one more time. We did not hit this breakpoint, which I was expecting. Oh, weird. Let's turn this breakpoint off. We're going to end up dying here in a second. That's fine. We'll restart. I do want to call out the normal streams are less communicative or less communication based than what I have been for the last little bit. Not to put myself down, but I do tend to focus in pretty hard. So if I do miss messages, I apologize. And if it becomes more boring when I'm not explaining the broad scopes of the game, but when I'm digging deep into the code, I also apologize for that. Okay, so here it's trying to pick the priority targets. It does pick them. So it is trying to move to these locations. If we go back over to the actual ability... No, where were we? Back over to... here. This is where it's trying to pick the best options. If we come back... I want to see that it's hitting this part of the code next. So when it next chooses its direction, it should have priority tiles. It does. It's going to override the move options with these ones specifically. It's going to come up with 8 attack options. It's got 2 tiles, and it's going to try attacking in every direction on each of those 2 tiles. It's then going to try and pick the best options. When it comes into here to pick, it's failing. So one of these should be valid. Like if it's trying to move to... actually 2 should be. If it moves to this tile, it should be able to target the east direction to target the player, and if it moves to this tile, it should be able to target the west direction to target the player. Oh, I got it. I got the problem. The problem is this ability doesn't actually target the player. Yeah, there are no marks. It doesn't have anything that it's trying to attack. And because it has no actual attack information, it's not going to actually find any of these have good scores. Because we only care about moving. Oh, that's so obvious. Okay, so I should have caught that. Yeah, this setup is specifically for when it's trying to plan an attack option, but we are trying to give it an attack option in which it does not have any attacks associated with it. I'm going to double check. This one has no marks. This one has no marks. This one has no marks. That has no marks. Marks being the enemies trying to mark an enemy to attack with this attack option. Yeah, and it finds that none of these attack options have any marks. And that's because this ability is not set up to work this way. Okay, how do we resolve that? I guess let's take a look at how a base ability works, like an AI attack. How does this function? This is normally a line-based attack, full ability area, so it'll attack everything in this line, and it's a line of one in front of it, basically. So it's essentially targeting one square, the same way that we are. So it's trying to target one square in front of them. The problem is that the one that we set up as a AI move around target ability, this is a line effect range, which doesn't actually get used, I think, because it's effect driven. So whatever the effects do is what it actually decides. So in this situation, yeah, it's going to get tiles in area. And these tiles are the ones that we would expect to have an enemy in. And if it does, it's going to say like, oh, this is a match, and add it to the marks. But I think because this is an effect-based area ability, which is like super special case stuff, which is kind of the direction I'm heading, this one, when it does get tiles in area, oh, it is still just using ability range, even though that's not accurate. Oh, that's a funny... Oh, yeah, this is super bugged. Or maybe bugged isn't the right word, but it's like a bunch of different systems that are not interacting very well together because they weren't designed for this. Like, the AI system wasn't designed to take my effect-driven systems. My effect-driven abilities were really built around the player being able to, like, see everything. So, like, when we're in here and we hit bash and we can see, like, all these tiles, that's because of the effect-driven system. So it was really built for, like, the UI, the screens, and for, like, player feedback. But the AI doesn't know how to interpret that same information. Okay, so I need to potentially overhaul the whole AI system in order for this to work. That seems overkill. I suppose... Yeah, I just... What if we, instead of trying to inject the priority move tiles there, what if we do it on move to nearest foe, which is what we will fall back to? I want the comment. This is just getting into hacky territory. I think I'm going to have to spend some time off camera thinking about how we can like revamp this whole system from the ground up, and I just don't think I'm going to solve that while talking on stream. But for now, if we just override the move targets or the move options during move to nearest foe, I think this might also get something that works, kind of. Okay, it's going to get its priority targets, that's fine. If we wait 2 turns... it's going to fail this section and not find a best option, and will instead go into this function to move towards foe. It does. It's going to try and get its normal move options. I'm going to tell it, hey, you have priority move tiles. Go to that one instead. It looks like we only have one. Yes, because the other one is occupied by the tree right now. And it's going to find the nearest foe. And then does it succeed in finding the best move target now? It only has one option, which is the option I gave it. Yes, because nothing is better than this anyways. So it's going to come in here, it's going to say that this is valid, and it's going to set that as the priority movement. Okay. And then it didn't do that. Trixie with the hydration redeem, appreciate you. Thank you. Okay. Let's move this off to one side so that I can see what's happening. Let's disable some of these breakpoints because we can see that it's mostly working at this point. So it should be trying to move away. We're going to remove some more breakpoints off camera over here. What does it do? Because I can see that it is choosing to move. Actually, let's validate that one last time. We're going to bring this back over. So it's going to say, hey, your move priority target is, in this case, only one location, which is 5-7. It's going to say move 5-7 is best. This should be 5-7. It is. It's going to say the location you should try and move to is move 7. Where does this get used? This gets passed up to the actual state machine. AI director. This becomes the target tile. So it's going to try and move to 5-7. That's correct. It finds that tile as the destination tile. Oh, I think I see the problem. The AI has a set amount of movement it's allowed to go into, or a set amount of movement that it's allowed. And we're not overriding that range, so I think it's trying, I'm trying to ask it to move to a tile that's too far away. Yeah, it came up with no plan. it couldn't find the tile because it was too far away. Okay, so then if we come back into here, go to this... no, we're going to need to go to the slime itself. And if we change AI run to have an override range of, say, I don't know, 5, because I think it's right now only allowed to move like 2 squares at a time, which is not going to be enough to move around. No, that should be... maybe it's only allowed 1 movement. Regardless, giving it 5 movement should be enough for it to be able to actually reach its destination. So if we attack from here, it should have 2 different tiles it's allowed to move to. We're going to move this off camera so we can see what happens. Yeah, now it moves. Okay. Okay. I think that's a huge hack, but that is functional. That is what I wanted to see. So now if we try and attack this enemy, it can get a hit in. We hit it once. Now it's about to move in 1 turn. If we try and attack it anyways, it moves to one side. And then if we know that, and we can predict that, then we can start doing cleave to make sure that we hit it. And even better than that is if we know it's going to move somewhere, we can try moving and attacking where it's going to be. Oh no! Oh no, oh no! If we try and attack where it's going to be, it's going to end up picking... What happened there? Okay, I think okay, it's not as bad as I thought. I thought the AI was choosing a new location, but I think it just got lucky. So if we move away... Okay, we're out of health. Let's just reset. Okay, at this point, if I try to attack here... Okay, yeah, I see what I thought it was broken. It actually worked fine, because technically it's going to choose either of these 2 tiles. So it felt like when I attacked, it went to the wrong location based off of my current facing. Interesting. So when it chose to predict this ability, it chooses which tile it's trying to go to, not at the moment it goes, but at the moment... at the moment when it ticked over. So the question is, when it ticked over to make its decision, was I facing towards it after being hit, or was I facing away because I moved away from it? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to guess I was facing towards it. Okay, so that's... It is working, but it's more confusing than I would have hoped. So I can, like, move away from this enemy, wait for it to come to me. At this point, I waited while facing this way, so it's going to either come to one of these 2 squares. I can try and target this one and hope I'm guessing right. And I did, which allows me to hit it. Okay. I think the fact that it decides based off of whatever my facing was makes this more confusing because I was facing this way and I have to remember which way I was facing when it decided it was going to move towards me. So in this situation, it's not clear where it's going to be. Yeah, I didn't think that was a possibility, but I guess I must have been facing one of these two directions, not this way or this way. Oh no, it's doing its green attack, not its ranged attack. Right. I need to change it so that there needs to be more variety in the telegraphing symbols, because even I'm getting confused about what they are. I don't think I'm using enough variation. So if it's moving, I need like some sort of small arrow or something. Let's fix that. Let's go to telegraph. We're using this one right now, I think. Okay. We are going to save as. This will be brown arrow telegraph crystal. So instead of just being a kind of diamond shape, we need to make this look more like an arrow. That looks awful. This is why I don't do the pixel art. Trixie does the pixel art. No, that doesn't look good either. Symmetrical, is that the way? Okay. I did save. Oh, it's just kind of blurry. So if this one is brown telegraph crystal, we can just make this one brown arrow telegraph crystal. And because this is just using the addressable system, we can now just go into the slimes prefab and change the AI run to be this one instead. And then for the dash attack, AI dash, instead of using the brown one, we'll use a green one. So if we open, gotta scroll up and find it. Find the folder. Let's do this green. We'll open this. Okay, and then honestly, it might be just easier to recreate this. Sure. Then we'll save that out as the green telegraph arrow. Programmer art for the win. Okay, and then inside of here we can use this one instead. Okay. Hopefully those are distinguishable. They might not be. The diamond and the arrow might be too similar pixel-wise, and so it may not be good enough. But we'll see what kind of effect that has. Yeah, I don't think it's distinguishable enough, but at least it's slightly better. Okay. I think it's working. I think long term, I would like it if it actually... I think what I want is I want the ability system to be more heavily integrated into the way that the AI thinks. And I just think it's a bigger overhaul than what I'm willing to do right now. That felt like I was predicting its movements fairly well. It is still random 50-50 on which way it's going to go, I think. But... well, is it random? I don't even know if that's true. Yeah, see, this is interesting, because technically... when I spawned it, I was facing this way. So at this point, it either wants to move to where it is, or where... it can go is over here. So I think it will never choose this tile. So in this case, I can move and kind of almost cut it off, which is interesting as well. Oh, I would have expected that to hit both the slimes. Yeah, the game broke. Okay, so something's also weird about AoE attacking multiple enemies. Okay. I think next weekend might be a bug day. Okay, this is the next bug I want to fix. I think there's a lot of issues, but this one is the one that's bothering me the most. If you attack an enemy while it is choosing to move, it will proceed to finish its movement and then die. And for whatever reason, the way that works out, it ends up breaking the tile system where you can't actually move onto the location where it died. I think that makes sense for a number of reasons, because we probably clear its current position and then it ends up dying. But because we clear its position where it is and then it moves to a new position, we're probably, based off order of operations, not clearing the new one because we've already done the death clear. The actual problem is the fact that it's moving after it's died, though. If that was resolved, I think everything else would kind of just fall into place. So if we look at combined ability or turn, combined turn state, this is where everything happens simultaneously. This is where it sets up its plan. It's going to kind of get the current plan from the AI director, and then it's going to execute them in order, but the player's plan happens first in most situations. We do want to build in a speed stat so that the who goes first in a turn is based off of who's faster. But for the time being, I think the player always goes first. So the player is taking their turn. They're saying, I'm going to attack this enemy. And at the same time, we're queuing up the enemy's turn, which is saying it wants to move, basically, or it wants to attack the player. And that's already been set in motion. And then we end up attacking and killing the enemy, but it still finishes executing its plan. So if we look at the AI director where it builds everything, there should be an ability sequence step. This is part of it, but I think the other half of it is the movement. Oh no, here it is. This is where the AI ability sequence step happens, and this makes sure that the AI is not knocked out. Inside of this ability sequence step, which is just executing an ability, it does not have the same kind of logic. So it won't execute an attack because it knows that it's dead. But we don't have the same setup on the ability sequence, which we probably should. Does the ability have a concept of its owner? It does not. Technically, we can get some display information. Does the display information have anything about its current unit? It does not look like it. Okay, so how does the AI ability sequence step work? It takes a plan of attack. It eventually does call perform on the ability, but it does a bunch of other stuff too. Okay. I believe all abilities are placed underneath their associated unit. This is the player, but yeah, get component should find unit up above if we do get component in parent. Not thrilled about this. And I'm going to do this the opposite way. Just return early. Oh, that's why we don't do this, because of the enumeration. Okay, fine. If it equals null, aka we didn't find a knocked out status effect on this enemy, then we will try and perform this. We're going to wrap the invoke results call as well. Alright, that should fix that bug. It's not a clean fix. It's kind of gross, but it should fix it. I'm wondering if the correct answer is to like maybe create a new type of movement, or maybe the movement should be baked into the AI sequence instead. Right, so we need to fight this thing till it's near dead. Well, that was a little too near dead. Ooh, what kind of break did we get there? Oh, interesting. This failed. Yeah, hard broke the game. Alright. If ability does not equal null, and this should probably actually be try get component. Try get component. Oh, we can't do that with get parent? Can you not do try get component in parent? No, it doesn't look like it. Fine. Fine, fine, fine. The ability shouldn't be null, so this should be fine. It's just gonna be faster to do it that way. Alright, try that again. Alright, let's see if this worked. This should be enough to defeat it. Yeah, and it did not move before dying. And none of these tiles are broken anymore. Okay, so that fixed it. Let's try respawning, because that's what broke it last time. Yeah, so respawning breaks with that extra check. Slime. There exists an IT slime. Yeah, its sprite renderer is turned off. So it's dead, but it's not letting me respawn another one. I have a feeling something else from the ability sequence system is needing to be called, and by making it so that we can't call an ability on a dead unit, it's not cleaning up properly anymore. Okay, yeah, this isn't going to work. I tried hacking it, and the hack is broken, so we need to do it correctly. So inside of here, right now we try and give it a move ability. it has the plan of attack inside of the AI ability sequence step. So the plan of attack should tell us the move target it's trying to reach. Oh, I see. It's actually constructing a series of moves. So it's actually doing multiple different abilities for each move, each square that it moves. And then the AI sequence is just handling the attack at the very end. So we could try having this AI ability sequence handle the movement part of the plan of attack as well, and essentially move all of this logic down into this sequence step, rather than planning it all out ahead of time. What kind of ramifications is that gonna have? This stuff should always operate in order. So it should do this always before this. And they shouldn't get resorted because this is all getting put into one plan. And the plans get sorted so you can move around units and... Oh no, is that true? No, that isn't true. Technically this can be... Yeah, each one is considered a discrete step inside of the AI's plan. Right, so the way I have this set up, these do need to be separated out, because if they are part of the AI ability sequence setup, they will fail. So this does need to function. I'm just curious. If we add a special override in here, if we do that, I think this might allow it to function still, because then we'll only have one reference where this actually sets this up this way, and it'll be inside of the AI director. In here, we can say this one... Oh, I want to get the conditionals right. Ignore knocked out is false. And so most of the time, or by default, it'll be true, which means it'll just auto go in here in every situation. But if this is ever set to false, which is it's being done for our movements, then it will obey the knocked out. Does that allow it to fix the bug while also still allowing it to respawn? I mean, this is partly not a problem anyways, because we only do the respawning inside of this combat ground. Normally enemies, once they die, stay dead until you leave that room and come back, which is a full reset, and we don't have to worry about like keeping track of the enemy in the same way. But I'd still like it to function in this room where we can actually still have them be defeated. Okay, it didn't move and it died. Its tile is fine. If we walk up here and we hit slime respawn, it does respawn again. Okay, so some other ability sequence step is being called after the enemy is dead and needs to be called after the enemy's dead. I'm guessing it's probably this end turn one. This is for the player. That's for move. That's for react. This is like another system entirely. Actually, I'm not seeing another spot where why did that work? And it definitely didn't move. And it's definitely not blocking tiles. Oh, I'm curious to see if this is still broken. If we do this attack. Yeah, this breaks too. Okay, so this is another bug we're going to need to figure out. Why is it that when we attack both slimes, it completely breaks the game? I'm going to guess it doesn't know how to handle having two different hit effects play at the same time. Okay, we're going to move on from the death bug, and we're going to see if we can figure out what's going on with this one. Yeah, the AI is trying to perform the attack right now. It's on 0. It should be attacking, but nothing's happening, and we're completely stuck. So I'm going to guess it's queued up a attack versus this slime, but it doesn't know how to do that. Oh, no, you know what? That makes a ton of sense, actually. I don't want it to make a ton of sense, but it does. Because we just added the other damage effects in here as full sections, which has all of the normal hit effect logic, which means that it's waiting for... Yeah, it's setting the animation speed to 1 and waiting for a pause, because it thinks that the initial sword play ability has happened. But in this situation, we don't have... Yeah, okay. Alright, here's what's happening. When we go to perform an attack, we pre-start the attack animation, whichever one it is. In this case, it was bash. And then we wait on the pause frame, which is the first frame in most situations, where it basically the character's holding the weapon, and then the game pauses, and we count down time until the player actually performs the attack. When the ability actually applies its effects in here, then it comes into this damage effect, which normally there was only ever one of these, and it will try and start up the animation, because the animation will have been paused on the first frame. It'll set the animation speed to 1, and it'll play until it hits the next pause frame, which is the impact frame, essentially. And it'll set the animation speed to 0 once the impact happens, and then it waits until all the damaging and the particles and everything are done, and then it sets the player's animation speed back to 1, so it'll return to the idle. Because we copied the damage effect base, all of these damage effects have that setup. And so the first damage effect is essentially executing and showing the player hit the enemy slime, but then the next damage effect is waiting for the animation to hit the next pause frame, because it's starting the animation up again, it thinks, but the animation has already finished from the first attack. So we need to pull this animation speed system out of here, and it should happen at the top, essentially. Is Miss also starting up the animation speed and waiting on pause? It is. Okay. Yeah, we've got to pull all this out. There's also this concept of like moving the character as part of the animation itself and even facing the target. All of this shouldn't actually be part of the hit effect and should instead be happening independently and separately. Okay. Okay, that's fine. So we can pull this out here. It doesn't like that. That's fine, we can copy it. We can pull it out, copy this, we can pull it out, and then we can turn these pieces off. And we're going to do that for each of the different hit effects. And then also for the miss, because now the miss doesn't have to worry about triggering this stuff. It will happen at the very start. Okay. Now the actual hit effect part of it will just be making the enemy flash, make it target the attacker, do some particle stuff. This particle directional stuff may not end up working now. Yeah, this may need to be revisited because I'm not sure what the attack direction is. Yeah, because I think it's going to think the attack direction is this way, so this guy's particles are going to be going out in this direction as well. So this might need to calculate... Nope, never mind. It is already getting the calculation from the attacker to the target. So okay, so that's fine. That'll be handled. Particles, combo setting, power setting. That's okay. This should all be fine. And then actually applying the damage. Okay, let's give that a shot. Does that fix the bash so that it can actually multi-target? If it does, I think that means that I want to fundamentally rethink about how I build my abilities so that there is like that actual apply the actual damage effect part, and then the like trigger the animation, which can be separate in all cases. Yeah, and that worked. Yeah, it's a little wonky with the multi-hits. Oh, that's weird the way it moved there. I would not have expected that. Yeah, it's super confused now. We ended up dying anyways. I feel like the AI is at least more complicated with this setup. I think that's from a lack of communication on the UI standpoint, but I think these are solvable problems. We could make it now that we know where the AI is going to try and go before we could potentially telegraph a little bit better. Okay, cool. We're going to call it here, I think. We have made good progress with being able to hook into the ability system or be able to hook the ability system into the enemy's AI behaviors. I think that there's still a fair amount of refactoring to do, but I want to do some of that off camera, or at least think about some of that off camera. But I do feel like the AI is feeling much more mobile. The fact that we can like miss so much more frequently now, even when I'm like trying to figure it out, feels way better. We're also not using a defend a whole lot here, but I think that that's also good and going to make things more interesting. So we can try performing this attack. The fact that bash is slower than the moves plus the range attack is somewhat unfortunate though. So in this situation, I don't know which direction it's going to go. I'm going to try hitting here. I nailed it. Now I can defend, which will parry the attack, meaning we get to get another attack in. Then we can parry again. Looks like that lines up perfectly right now. It does. Cool. So we can infinitely parry and hit that enemy. We probably want to change one of the CT values so that that's not the case, but still cool. I think this is a good place to call it. Oh, first time chatter. Sorry. Coming in right at the last minute. We are working on a thing. I gave the elevator pitch earlier today, but essentially it is a adventure game thing. Like, what did I say earlier today? It's like Hades meets an isekai meets like a tactics game or something. I don't know, but essentially you move through the world, find enemies, try and deal with a time loop experience. There's like 30-second hero mixed in there a little bit, but it is a RPG adventure game built on a grid and turn-based stuff while trying to have somewhat of a active turn-based, or not active turn-based, but a combat system in which you have to try and time your attacks versus the enemy while it's turn-based. So everything is happening step by step, but the enemy takes turns and you take turns. So my slash takes 4 turns. The enemy can move in 2, thus dodging my attack. And then I can try doing this AoE bash. That way, even though the enemy is moving, we can still potentially get a hit on it before it gets, or while it's moving away from us. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. Been working on it for a few years, but it's definitely a mishmash of a lot of stuff. But part of it's just also I like building tools, and there's been a lot of really interesting tools to build along the way. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if it'll all come together, but that's the pitch. Anyways, I was about to end stream. As always, we stream every Sunday from 2 to 4 and from 6 to 8 PST. We'll be back next Sunday with some more game dev stuff. For now, though, this is going to be Tolhi signing out. Later, folks.